the profit or contribution for whatever you are producing. This is the graphical representation of break-even analysis. We have a algebraic method actually that goes behind this graphical method. For example, break-even point could be in number of units. Break-even point is in terms of dollar, where P is the price unit after all the discounts. X is the number of units produced. TR stands for total revenues for PX. F is fixed cost, V is variable cost per unit, TC is total cost, which is equal to F plus Vx. Now, break-even point occurs where your total revenues are equal to total cost, or total revenue is Px equal total cost is equal F plus Vx. You equate total revenues with total cost. Where your total revenues and total cost are equal, that is your break-even point. Now, break-even point in terms of number of units, right? That is F over P minus V, right? P is price, V is variable cost, F is fixed cost. That is break-even point in number of units. Now, in terms of dollars, if we want to same break-even point in number of units, in dollars, price, X, total revenues, fixed cost, variable cost, and total cost. In terms of dollars, break-even point number of P, price per unit. Whatever you have produced, this is your production into
the price
your price. Okay. And now BEPX, you replace it with the previous equation, and you come up with a break-even point in terms of dollar will be F over 1 minus V over P. And our profit will be total revenues minus total cost. You replace total revenues with PX, you replace TC with F plus Vx, and you come up with this final equation. This is the actually your fixed cost. I'll explain it with the help of a practical example. If your fixed costs are $10,000, material cost is 0.75 per unit, direct labor is 1.50 units dollars per unit, selling price is $4 per unit, your break-even point in terms of dollars using that equation, mathematical equation we came up with, will be by plugging in the values in this equation, we come up with 22,857.14. That is, if when your dollar value, your sales volume reach this point, that is your, in terms of dollar, that is your break-even point. Now, break-even point in terms of X, we put it is 5,000. In the other equation, we put the values and we get 5,714 units. This is the break-even point in terms of dollars. This is break-even point in terms of units. Now, we plot the same example which I discussed here in this diagram. We see our fixed costs are here, 10,000. Our revenue line is here. Our total cost line is here, and they meet at approximately 22,000 here and 5,700 here. Okay, this is the again graphical description of break-even example. Now,
so generally a factory or a production facility produce multiple products. Say an oil pipeline transports crude as well as the refined products in different capacities having different cost profiles. How this situation is handled?
Okay, in break-even analysis, obviously we do the same thing but replicate it for a number of times, and for which we have break-even point, for example, in dollars. For multi-product case, we have summation and the same equation with WI. WI is new. I would say I and W, they are new parameters which we add in multi-product case. V is variable cost per unit as usual, P is price per unit, F is fixed cost as usual, W is the percent each product of total dollar sales. W is here, and I is each product. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will replace with a product number, and we'll use this equation to come up with multiple product case. For example, we have, let's say, a fixed cost of 3,500 per month, in the, again, bakery, coming to the bakery example, our product 1 is sandwiches, price is this much, cost is this much, annual forecasted sale is this much. Soft drinks, price, cost, annual sales, baked potato, tea, salad bar, and so on. I'm sorry, I can't come the mathematical calculation for a pipeline example you mentioned, but this is fairly simple example to really make the point. You can replace, for example, product A in the aisle pipeline example, product B, product C, but the concept will remain the same.
Right.
Now, using these figures, let's say for the item selling price, then variable cost, V over P, formula 1 minus bracket V over P, annual forecasted sales, percent of sales, weighted contribution, which is column 5 into column 7. We came up with annual forecasted sale 46,300, percent of sales 1, and so on. This is how we handle the multiple products. We use this equation, and using this equation we come up with our let's say this is BEP in dollar, break even 7,200, and our daily sales will be, if we have 312 working days, 215.38. That is our break even point. And in terms of number of sandwiches, about 33 sandwiches per day, and similarly we can come up with other products. Again, we need to have a break even point in terms of dollar, break even point in terms of number of units. This equation presented here gives us a methodology to come up with the break even analysis.
Right. When considering capacity problems, obviously we will consider multiple alternatives having different cost variations. Is there some systematic way of handling such situations?
Oh yes, oh yes. There are a number of ways. One methodology is actually what we call decision tree analysis. Let's say you are talking of the alternates. You have alternate 1 of a design capacity, alternate 2, alternate 3, or alternate 4. N alternates are available to you whenever you talk of the and there have to be, since these analysis becomes very complex as you get into the dollars and amounts and so on, it becomes very complex. There ought to be some systematic way of handling that, and I'll explain that with the help of an example diagram here. Let's say you have an option for installing a larger plant, let's say 500,000 liters a day, again, medium plant 250,000 liters a day plant, or a small plant with let's say 100,000 liters a day, or you have always an alternate. I mean, this is very interesting. In the analysis, we use an option, do nothing. Do nothing option is very interesting, although if you don't do anything, you don't lose anything, you don't make any spending, and you get 0. Your outcome is 0. Let's say in the large plant, if you install a large plant, there are again 2 options available. Either the market is favorable or the market is unfavorable. The chances of market being favorable is 0.4, and the chances of market being unfavorable is 0.6, right? And again, market favorable for medium plant, unfavorable for medium plant, favorable, unfavorable. It means the probability of the market being favorable and unfavorable for each of the 3 alternate or 4 alternate is the same. Okay, we come up with, let's say, if we install a large plant, market is favorable, our let's say revenues are 100,000. Market is unfavorable, we lose 90,000. In medium plant, if market is favorable, we make $60,000. If market is unfavorable, we lose $10,000. In small plant, if the market is favorable, we make $40,000 or we lose $5,000. This is what we call the decision tree analysis, and as such, large plant, EMV stands for expected monetary value. EMV for the large plant is 0.4 into 100,000 plus 0.6 into 90,000 is minus 14,000. It means the expected monetary value of a large plant is negative, right? Similarly, we calculate the expected monetary value for the medium plant, which is 18,000. We calculate the expected monetary value for the small plant, which is 13,000. In this case, we see negative expected monetary value. This
not favorable to
not feasible. This is do nothing is not feasible as it's 0. Small plant is less. Medium plant is the bet because its expected monetary value is more than
it's the maximum.
That is the maximum you get. As such, we'll choose the medium plant.
Right.
Again, I'll say this is primarily the simplistic and very basic model. As you enter into the practical situation, there are the complexities and you have to revise your assumptions and you have to make your data more as close to as practical assumptions and make your calculations.
Right. So we would like to know about some other techniques which can be applied for the capacity decisions.
Okay. Aisha, I think in the last session we discussed that capacity decisions are such significant for any plant or for any organization. They require very, very thorough investigation. And in each investigation, you know, I think in the very first session we come up with one prime purpose of the corporation is increasing the shareholder value. That is the money. As such, whenever we talk of the capacity decisions, plant A, plant B, plant C, capacity A, capacity B, capacity C, we look in terms of dollars. How much revenues we are going to get, how much value we are going to create, how much profit we are going to earn, how much value of the shareholders we are going to increase. That is the key. And in doing so, we require the certain degree of economic analysis. The more the investment required, the more you have at stake, the deeper analysis you'll go in. As such, the investment is made based on how much revenues you are going to get, how much value of the company is going to increase. As such, strategy-driven investment is very important. Operations may be responsible for return on investment. Operations department, because operations is to produce the goods and services to be sold to the ultimate clients. And on that operations work, the return on investment is linked to. Analyzing capacity alternate should include capital investment, variable cost, cash flow, and net present value. Okay, let's say we think of alternate A, let's say in terms of pipeline we are talking about, the pipeline of certain capacity, 48-inch diameter capacity, 60-inch diameter capacity, or 100-inch diameter capacity intercontinental pipeline from point A to point B. Okay, each of these pipeline has certain costs, fixed costs, and certain variable costs. Capacity, their pipeline's capacity to handle crude, capacity to handle finished product, and whatnot, means that is a huge project. As such, each of these alternate is going to bring you various cash flows, right? If you have various cash flows, then you have to look into cash flow of plant A, plant B, plant C, plant D, right? And let's say if you're going to generate a cash flow in year 2, in year 3, in year 4, in year 5, what will be its value today based on the interest rate or discount rate, what we call, right? As such, capacity decisions are of very significant importance for the company. Now, one methodology is what we call net present value. Net present value is if we, let's say, make an investment and we get certain cash flow over year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, what will be its value today? Means whatever is our cash flow in future, we would like to look at the value today. And for that, we use this mathematical formula P equal F over 1 plus I to the power N. I is the interest rate, N is the number of years, P is the present value, F is the future value. Okay. If we have a future cash flow, what will be its value today? For that, generally, while this works fine, it is cumbersome for larger values of N. Means if N is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, means this formula is all right, but it is cumbersome. As the N grows, let's say N goes to 20 years, how are you going to do it? The mathematicians have come up with the tables, what we call interest rate tables or discount tables, and or we call factors we'll be coming up with shortly. Again, the same formula equal to fx, where x is a factor from table S7y, will show shortly, defined as this much. This is basically the experts have calculated and tabulated, so that we should be able to use these values for making calculations of net present value calculation. Okay. This table, for example, shows the present value of $1 in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. What will be the present value of $1 at 5% discount rate in year 5? It will be this much. At 6%, at 7%, at 10%. Right? This is how we calculate the NPV. We use these factors. Means F is this, we get the appropriate number from this. Let's say 7% at year 5. This is our this is our x. Then we make multiplication with x. Okay.
Analysis and net present value in capacity planning. Ladies and gentlemen, today we discussed a break-even analysis, in which we discussed about the single product case, multi-product case. Then we discussed applying decision trees to capacity decisions, applying investment analysis to strategy-driven investments, in which we discussed investment, variable cost and cash flow, and net present value. With this, we conclude this session. See you with another session of production and operations management. Till then, thank you and Allah Hafiz.